Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have all new bee DIYs for you using supplies from the Dollar Tree. I had a lot of fun putting these together. I love bee DIYs for spring and for summer. Now this is one of the little bee wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. I have no idea why they make these red, so I'm going to take mine outside and give it a quick spray paint with some black spray paint because I don't want to have to worry about that red showing through in the final product. I mean, it should be black. And I like to leave the antennas just wire, so I need those to be black for sure. So I sprayed the front and the back of it, and we're going to start decorating this. I've made one of these before here on my channel, and I wanted to see if I could do a different version of it since they brought these back again this year. So I was thinking I wanted to do like a fuzzy bumblebee, and I think I was able to pull it off. So let me show you how I put it all together. First, just making sure I had all of my paint dry, and these are the materials that I'm going to use to kind of DIY this. I found a great fuzzy fabric at the Dollar Tree that I think is going to be great for the bumblebee. Then for the stripes, I thought I would use some of the black faux leather from the Dollar Tree. I thought that would be easy to cut like straight stripes, and it's going to provide like another texture for the piece as well. And then I'm going to use shelf liner for the wings. So first I'm starting with the head. I thought since I had the black leather, I would go ahead and do the head in that one. So I am just laying the head right on top of the leather and just using a Sharpie to kind of sketch out where the head is on the back of the leather. And I love this faux leather from the Dollar Tree. It's so easy to craft with because it's just super easy to cut and you don't have to worry about fraying or anything like that. So I'm just cutting it along those lines. I want everything to be a little bit bigger than what I need so that I can attach it to the bottom of the wreath form and it can kind of peek out on the other side. So I'm going to start with a little bee head. It looks like I cut it really well, so I can go ahead and start gluing this. I'm just going to do like half of it at a time with hot glue, making sure that is down, and then doing the other side as well. I want to cover everything with the materials from the back, and then I will come from the front and cover all of the wires too, except again for the antennae. But I did kind of need them to be black because I'm going to use a lot of black and gold on this bee, and that red would have really clashed. Now this is the fabric that I found at Dollar Tree. I was so excited. I've never seen this at Dollar Tree before. It's like a fuzzy golden material, and I thought this would be perfect to make this guy look like a bumblebee. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay it like fuzzy side down, laying my wreath form on top. And I'm going to sketch out like the body of the bee. And the material kind of gives a little bit. So I was kind of having to hold the wire wreath form down on it. I can go about halfway here because that has like a double wire on the wings. And then I'm going to cut that down to size. Now I end up actually using this fuzzy material too for the head. I end up switching it later on just because I had a lot of black going on the bee and I wanted just a little bit more of golden, and I just love this fuzzy fabric. It's so cute. I found lots of new fabrics that I've never seen at Dollar Tree before, and we're going to be using a lot of them today. So that is the perfect size for the bee body. Slightly overlapping the little stinger down here and the sides. So I'm just going to attach this with hot glue from the back. So everything is still kind of upside down. And then kind of glue it here to the wings as well. And then go up and I'm going to slightly overlap that with like the bee head, just hot gluing everything down. Now I'm going to be using this bee wreath form and also the beehive wreath form like later on in this video. They're probably my most time consuming projects that I was working on today, but man, I really love how they turned out. And I use these for wall hangings. I don't really use them for wreaths, but I guess you always could. They're a little small for wreaths in my opinion. Now, and this was my original plan, was to use the black leather for the stripes. So I'm going to cut out the rest of that rectangle that I had left. And then I thought the best way to cut it would be to use my like Cricut paper cutter to get perfectly square lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure my rectangle is square. And then I am just going to cut, I think I did like 1/2 inch stripes. And I ended up needing a total of 3 of those. I don't want to go too crazy, but I want to have stripes like go up the body of the bee. So I'm going to need like a larger one down here. And I'm going to go ahead and attach that. Do make sure you get it on there. This is straight. When you're working kind of fast with the hot glue, sometimes you can get carried away. But that looks good. I'm also going to glue it down to that fuzzy material as well so it doesn't like bow out at all. I want it to lay flat. And then I'm going to cut my other stripes down to size. So I ended up actually only needing 2 because I was able to reuse this piece. It's pretty skinny up here at the top part of the bee. Then I'm just going to kind of trim off the excess leather. And I'm also going to kind of trim off the excess like fuzzy fabric that's kind of sticking over the edge and make sure everything is down. And once I get these on, then we can start working on the wings. I have a really fun idea using some of that shelf liner from the Dollar Tree. I thought we could make some wings that were kind of transparent, like bee wings would be. Something that you could see through, but something that's going to coordinate well with the gold and the black and the bumblebee. So I picked up just the regular shelf liner. I always like to walk around the other aisles of Dollar Tree to see what other materials I can use for craft materials, and you can often find stuff like this that can have another use. So I thought it kind of reminded me of a screen, right? So I thought that would be a fun like transparent wing, something that you could see through. So I think that's going to work. So again, I'm just going to have to lay the bee wreath form on top of it, and I'm going to sketch out like the size of the wing. But it is black, so it's kind of hard to draw on that where you can see it, right? So I'm just using my white paint pen, and I'm just going to sketch it out in between the 2 wires. That way I can make it a little bit bigger than the inner one, but I don't want to make it too big that it hangs over the edges of the bee. So basically 2 heart shapes, and the paint pen actually worked pretty well for that. So now we're going to cut those out, and we'll have like basically all of the bee covered with the fabric, and then we can start decorating the front of the bee. I had so much fun making these DIYs. I do bees every year on my channel. They always seem to do really well. Hopefully this video will do well too. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. That always helps it do better. It's been very slow on my channel, so I'm anxiously awaiting Shore Living whenever it decides to show up in my stores. I feel like a crazy person going to Dollar Tree every day at this point. So I'm going to start here at the center or the bottom of the heart shape or the wing shape, and I'm just going to do one section at a time, gluing that shelf liner down. And I was surprised at how well that material held up to that hot glue. It didn't seem to melt at all. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, just at a section at a time, and just kind of making sure I got it on right. Now, I went back and forth about what kind of material I wanted to use to cover the wires on the front. Dollar Tree has rope, but they have it in like brown rope. They have it in white rope. And I didn't really think I wanted to do either one of those. So I will show you what I ended up doing using another product from the Dollar Tree. I think the wings look pretty good, and this is what we're going to use, the black macrame cord. So they have this in colors, including black. So I thought I could make my own rope by braiding the macrame cord. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to use that to cover all of the wire wreath form. So I'm gonna do like about 4 feet of the rope, and I'm gonna cut out like 3 pieces of it. And then I'm just gonna tie the end of that into a knot, and I need to attach it to something so that I can pull on it and braid it. And I can't really tape down to my work surface here because it's silicone and not even duct tape. Nothing will stick to this stuff. And so I'll show you what I ended up using to kind of work around that. And I ended up having to make like 4 different ropes. I'm going to show you the first one that I made here. So I'm just going to take a block of wood. That can serve a couple purposes. You'll see here in a minute. And I'm just going to use my staple gun to attach that. So I can pull on that, braid it, no big deal. So I'm going to start braiding it. Now, you can braid a section, but as you can see, when you're working with the really long pieces of the macrame cord like that, it is going to get tangled up. So you do have to take breaks and kind of untangle as you go. But the board works great because you can just flip it like that and kind of keep the tension on it and keep everything untangled. And as you can see, I'm just braiding like you would braid hair, 3 pieces. It's going to give me a flat rope, which is going to be plenty wide enough to cover up the wire wreath form and all of like the seams and everything I have going on where I've attached the other fabric. So I just keep braiding this until I get all the way to the end, and then I just tie a knot on it too, just so it won't become unbraided until I can work with it. So the board trick definitely works for that, especially if you don't have something you can attach it to. But I thought this was a good way to do a black rope. I know you can paint the rope, but it doesn't always turn out with like very good coverage. So I thought that this was a fun idea. I'm going to start like here at the bottom underneath the wing and just start hot gluing that on. As you can see, I want it to cover like any fabric that might stick out from the sides and cover up everything, cover up the wire. And whenever you're working with like this like flat macrame rope, it's really easy to go around like even sharp angles like that. You can even kind of reverse direction, bend it back. You can do all kinds of different things with it. And so I'm going to do the bottom of the bee like this. And then I'm going to continue that same piece just to kind of make less seams. And I'm going to keep using it until I can't use it anymore. So I'm doing like the outer wire of the wing. I will have to double up the wings because the wings have 2 wires. It's kind of inevitable. I kind of wish that it had 1 wire. It would make it a little bit easier, I think. But I'm going to keep that one going. I can go all the way around the outer rope and the bottom of the bee with that one piece of macrame rope that I made. I am cutting them off. I'm not like leaving the knots on them or anything like that. I'm just kind of leaving those on there until I can get like my ends glued down. And once I get them glued down like that, it shouldn't be any problem like not unraveling or unbraiding. So this is my second rope that I braided. And I'm going to do the inner wing of this side so we can finish up this side of the bee wreath form. The pointy part here in between the 2 wings, you do have to kind of get it tight to try to cover up everything. I put the hot glue on there and then kind of squeeze it together to try to cover up as much space as possible. But then again, I'm just covering up the wire on this one, and I want it to be as close as I can get it to the other one so there's really not like much of a gap in between the 2 different wires, the 2 different braids. So I have some left over here. I should have enough for the head on this rope. So I'm going to go ahead and just start kind of where the wing is because everything kind of overlaps there, so I don't need it to go all the way down. And I'm just going to do the top part of the head, gluing that down. And then I have another rope here. I'm going to just cut my knot off of it. I'm going to start it on the neck there where I can finish off the head. And then I'm going to continue that same piece down and go around the wing as well. And I'm trying to make sure that I don't have like any like visible hot glue or anything on the top of the macrame rope. So I'm trying to be careful with that. If I see it, I clean it up with my heat gun as fast as I can. So that rope got me about that far. I didn't make that one quite as long. So I'm going to have to do a fourth rope that I braided, and then I do the inner wing with that one. Again, I have to kind of go around this crazy corner up here, and I just pinched everything together to cover that up. One thing I love about how this bee wreath turned out is all of the fun textures. Like we've got like these great see-through wings. We've got the fuzzy bumblebee. We got the leather stripes. It was so fun to do this one, but it was a little time consuming. Once I got that wing covered, I'm going to again cut off the rest of it. And this is what it looks like at this point. I can just use the antenna to hang it. That's when I decided it was a little too dark. So I'm going to pop off the leather for the head and replace it with some more of that fuzzy golden fabric to brighten it up a little bit, because I had a lot of black going on between the black rope, the black wings, and the black head. So just using my heat gun, I'm carefully popping off the leather. I'm going to use that as a template to cut out the fuzzy gold fabric. I'm really glad I did it. I think it's so much cuter now with a little fuzzy bumblebee head. So just cutting that piece down to size. Then I've already got like the braided rope on the front. I just have to kind of replace this here on the back. No big deal. I just attach it with hot glue. And I even thought about like maybe making a back on that and kind of stuffing the head a little bit so it's stuck out a little bit. But I decided the fuzziness was good enough of a texture. And this is how it turned out. I think it's so pretty. I'm just going to kind of clean up that black macrame rope, kind of picks up any of that fuzzy material. And just make sure I have everything cleaned up. And then again, I don't need a hanger because I can just hang it from one of the little bee antennas. But this is how it turned out. I think the shelf liner for the wings is just a really fun idea. And here on a photo, you can really see the fuzziness of that material. I think that was a really fun choice. If you can't find that one, any kind of gold or yellow fabric would be really good as well. But if you can find it, I think it really did add a special touch to my little bee. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, the next DIY, I picked up this hexagon frame at the Dollar Tree because it looks like a honeycomb. And I thought we could do something fun with this. So it's like a plastic black frame, and that's really all I want. I don't need anything else. And then I want to use some of the Dollar Tree cardstock. I'm going to choose the yellow piece that you see there. And we can cut like honeycombs to go inside that honeycomb shape, right? So I'm going to use my Cricut. I designed an SVG file, and I will share that in the description below this video. And I wanted to see if my Cricut could cut out a good honeycomb pattern, and we could kind of have this open without a back or anything like that. And I was pleasantly surprised with how well it did. So I'm just going to lift the cardstock off my cutting mat, and look at this great honeycomb pattern it cut out. I made sure to do it a little bit thicker so I didn't have to worry about tiny lines breaking or anything in between. But I made sure to make it large enough. I think I did 9 by 9 to make sure that it is large enough to cover this entire frame. So now we're going to kind of dismantle this. It does have a back on it, and it also has like glass and all kinds of stuff in here. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all of this because I want it to be like see-through with the honeycomb. I thought that'd be really cute. Now it does have these like little levers that keep the back on, which kind of get in the way for me. I don't really need that. So I'm just going to go ahead, remove the screw on each one of those and take those out, leaving me with just a plain black frame. I'm going to kind of maybe put it on it at a diagonal like that, just for a little bit of fun. And I just laid the frame on top, and I'm going to kind of sketch out where I need to cut this with a pencil all the way around. And I did have a little bit of trouble since like the plastic frame is kind of all open in the back, but I'll show you what I did to kind of make this fit in there. I've always wanted to do kind of like a cutout like this. I see a lot of DIYs made with that, with not necessarily like honeycombs, but like intricate detail shapes like this where you can kind of make a project kind of see-through. And I'm really glad I tried it because it turned out pretty cool. Now I cut it the size of the frame, so it doesn't necessarily fit in there, especially with all of the areas that held the screws for those little clips. So I'm going to line it up the best I can, and then I can just go in there and kind of trim it up to size to make sure it fits down inside the frame. I want like the front of the black frame to be on the front of the piece, and I want this honeycomb to kind of be on the back, making it a see-through project. So I just trimmed it all the way around until it fits down in there. Now the next thing, I thought it was going to be kind of hard to glue it on with just the like little pieces overlapping. I thought if I added like some walls, it would add a little bit more stability. So I'm going to take whatever yellow cardstock I had left over, and I'm going to make some skinny strips to frame it out. Only, I think I did 1/4 of an inch, so really skinny strips, because I don't want you to be able to see it on the front of the project. I want it to be able to hide here in the side of the frames. And so I'm just going to kind of cut those down to size. I can get 2 out of 1 strip, and I'm going to do that all the way around. Then I can attach that to the honeycomb that we cut out of the cardstock, and it's going to be a little bit easier to glue in place, I think. So again, I cut out 6 of those, and then since it's paper, I thought a like just regular like school glue stick would work to kind of attach these together. So I just put some of that school glue on the strip, and I lay that right on top of the honeycomb pattern, leaving it in the frame so I know exactly where to put it to kind of work around those little screw holes there for the braces. And then I can have something a little bit more substantial that I can then glue to the frame. So once I have that set up, I thought hot glue would probably work okay since I have like the borders now. So I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue each side down by kind of gluing it on the inside edge of the plastic frame, because I don't really want any hot glue to be visible around the edges. So I just try to get it right there on that strip, because it doesn't quite go deep enough to go down in the grooves of the plastic because it's kind of wide open, which is one reason I wasn't sure I was going to be able to attach this. But this definitely worked well. I'm going to do that all the way around until we have our little honeycomb in place. Now, I kind of want this to be like a standalone decoration. The frame is not wide enough to stand it on its own, so I am going to have to make a base for it. And I want something that's going to kind of blend into the black frame. So I'm just going to use a little piece of scrap wood that I have left over from something. I don't even know what. And I'm just going to cut down a little piece of that. And it's going to provide me a nice heavy base for the bottom of our honeycomb. So I just went to my saw and cut that down to size. And I'm going to sand off any splinters or loose pieces to give me just a wood block. Now I do want it to blend in with the black plastic, and so I'm going to paint it with some black acrylic paint, and I'm just going to go over the top, the front, the back, and the sides, anything that's visible with that black paint. And one coat, I went a little heavy on it, so one coat is definitely going to be enough on this one. And then I have a few ideas of how we can decorate like the honeycomb cells as well. So once I get this dry, it took me a minute because I put so much paint on it. I also want to decorate the little honeycombs. So I have some of these bees left over last year from Michael's. They're kind of broken. Some of them are missing wings and stuff like that. They're super cute though. I'll try to give you a close-up view because I think it would be fairly easy to DIY with some string painted yellow and black, and some wire for the antenna and the legs. But look how cute these are. I did see some people making DIY bees like this with the little carrots, the string carrots from the Easter aisle, painted like a bee. So that's an option you could do to kind of get a similar style of bee. But I had these and they're kind of broken, so I thought I would just kind of use some of them. This one had a broken off wing. The top one there is like completely missing wings from the other side. I did use these last year for my bee coffee bar. So I'm just going to choose like 2 of those. And they're pretty lightweight, so I can attach them to that cardstock. And I just glue some of their feet in place. That kind of overlaps with the honeycomb. And I'm going to do a second one. This one was not broken, so it was ready to go. But I thought these were really cute. Now, normally I get like the little wooden bees from the Dollar Tree. But this year I didn't see them at any of mine. Did you guys see them this year, the little tiny bees? I don't know if I didn't have any luck or if they just didn't have them this year. But I do need some mini bees on some DIYs today, and I kind of made them from scratch. They turned out pretty cute. So I think 2 bees is enough for this, and now we can go ahead and put it all together. I'm just going to put a bead of hot glue on the bottom of the plastic frame and sit it in the middle of our wood block that we painted black, and that's all there is to it. I think it's really cute. I love like the cutout design like that. So definitely we'll share the Cricut file for you if you want to try to recreate. And that yellow cardstock, again, is just from the Dollar Tree. So that is an inexpensive option as well. This is how it turned out. I think it's really colorful. I like the fact that that frame was already black, so I didn't have to worry about painting that. And it definitely goes with the colors that we were going for there, the gold and the black. Very sweet. I love it. Now the next DIY, I wanted to make like a bee skep vase with grass in it. So I'm using one of these black plastic vases from the Dollar Tree. And I thought we could wrap it with Dollar Tree rope to make it look like a bee skep. So this is the rope that I'm using. This is the skinnier, longer brown rope from the Dollar Tree. And I want to wrap the entire vase with that. And I'm going to do that by starting at the bottom. So I just cut the plastic off and I just hot glue as close to the bottom as I can get. I'm not going to do the very bottom of the vase. I just want to go all the way to the edge. And then I glue that in place all the way around. And then I'm going to keep using that same piece of rope to keep wrapping it around. When you're kind of going up at this point, you don't need any glue. All you have to do is wrap it, and that's what I'm doing, trying to keep my rope tight together so that I don't have any gaps so you can't see the black through. And then I'm just going to glue down the end. That's how far one package got me. And then I can just start a new package. I did have to start and stop 3 times. And so, or I used 3 ropes. So I have multiple seams. I just made sure that all of my seams were on the back of the vase, so they were all like on the same side. Now I found when I was working up on this one, going up the round shape, I did have to hot glue these to keep these in place, so that took me a little bit longer. And I'm just hot gluing it, pinching it together, try to make sure that you can't see any of the black through. And we're going to fill this up with that Dollar Tree onion grass and decorate it to make it look like a little bee skep or a beehive. And I love the shape for it. I think this is a really interesting shape to try. So I'm running out of rope. I'm going to make sure that I kind of cut it where it will end on that same side, so all of my seams will be hidden back here on the back of my vase. So definitely takes a lot of rope when you wrap a project like this. This is my 3rd package of that thinner rope from the Dollar Tree. And again, I'm just going to cut the tape off of it and start again. And I hot glue that in place, and I'm kind of going up again, so I'm not needing to glue it in place like I did before until I start getting here around the rim. I have to start gluing it in place because I don't want it to slip off the end. I want it to stay tight. And I'm just kind of going around until I cover up all of the plastic. This vase comes in black or white. You're not going to be able to see the inside of it, so it doesn't really matter which one you get. And I'm just going to kind of overlap it a little bit there. just to cover up the very top and cut off the rest of the rope, gluing that end down so it kind of blends in with the top of the vase. Now, Dollar Tree rope is notoriously like a fuzzy. It's kind of got some crazy pieces sticking out of it. So next up, I just take one of the long lighters and we're just going to go over it and burn off all the fuzzies and try to clean it up a little bit. But it looks pretty cool as just a vase, right? Now, when I dress it up and kind of make it look like a bee skep, it makes it look even cooler. So burning off all the fuzzies, if I have any kind of weird like sticks sticking out, I try to trim those off as well. And I think that looks a lot better. Now to fill it up, it's going to be super easy. I'm going to use some of that Dollar Tree onion grass and just kind of stick that in there. But first, I wanted to decorate it to make it look like a bee skep. So I just took my black paint pen and I'm just sketching out a simple circle here on the front. Once I got it sketched out, then I can kind of go in with some black paint. I'm using some chalk paint, but you could use acrylic, just kind of whatever you have. And I'm just going to fill in my circle to make a nice bold black spot on the front of it for a little hole for the bees. And this is what Dollar Tree rope looks like painted. I mean, you can do it, but as you can see, you have to use a brush to try to get down in between the individual ropes and all the fibers and everything like that. And I'm just going to kind of touch it up, try to make it look like a circle the best that I can. And then for bees, I was brainstorming a way to make little bees. And I remembered I have some of these yellow pom-poms garland from the Dollar Tree, so I'm going to try it with those. I just cut off one of the little mini pom-poms and rolled it into between my hands to kind of make it like a oval shape. And then I'm going to take some of the black wire from the hardware aisle at Dollar Tree, and I thought I could wrap that around the yellow pom-pom to make like little black stripes, and I could also use it for an antenna, right? So I start here at one end of my pom-pom. This helps it keep that longer shape too instead of the circle. And I wrap that around a couple times to give like 3 stripes for the bee. And then I'm going to leave a little tail on there for one of the antennae. And then I'll have to cut off another little piece to make a second antennae for the front of the bee. And I am going to make wings in just a second, but this is like basically the body of the bee. And so I'm going to go ahead and attach it now. I can always add the wings later. Just trying to make sure everything looks good. I think that looks pretty good for a DIY bee. And I'm going to glue it right here kind of near the opening. And I really like how that turned out, so I'm going to try making another one. So if you were not able to find the little bees from the Dollar Tree this year as well, this is an option if you have some of this pom-pom garland. I love this pom-pom garland. I think I have it like in every color from the Dollar Tree because there's always so many things you can do with it. So for the second one, I did the same thing. I tried to make it kind of longer, wrapped it with that wire 3 times for 3 stripes, left one piece for the antennae, and then I cut another piece down for the other antennae and kind of wrapped that around the wire, making it kind of stick out of the head, just like the other one. We can glue that here on the other side. Like this one might not be going in the beehive, but the other one's probably going to. Now I was trying to think of something fun I could use to make little tiny bee wings. And I remembered I had this ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. Kind of like a snake skin. I thought like the fun texture on it would make it look like a texture or veining of a bee wing. So I'm just going to cut off a little piece. And basically a bee wing is just shaped like a heart. So I'm just going to use an ink pen and cut out some heart shapes here, all about the same size on the fabric with the veining, kind of avoiding the pattern that was on there. And then just cutting those little wings out. I kind of did 2 smaller ones, 2 like larger ones without really meaning to, but I'll just pair those up with the small ones on one bee and the little bit larger ones on the other bee. So kind of a teeny miniature, like a little project there, but I was really happy with how it turned out. It was really cute and a lot cuter than just skipping the bee, right? So I just do a little dot of hot glue on the back of my bee, and then I'm just going to sit the tip of the wing in it right here on the back. They're cute without the wings, but I think the wings really make them special, make them really look like little bees. I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. A dot of hot glue for each wing, just kind of making sure they are like right across from each other and sticking straight up. Doesn't that look so cute? I mean, you could always add more bees if you wanted to go crazy, but I think 2 bees is enough for this. But I absolutely love how this Dollar Tree vase turned out. It's such a fun, interesting shape for like a bee skep. And it's practical because I can now put greenery in there and have like a floral piece. This is the onion grass I'm using. I'm just using the plain onion grass. If you can only find like the ones with like butterflies or eggs in them, you could totally use that as well, just kind of removing the extra stuff. But I had 3 of these. Now, they didn't sit in there too well because I don't really have like any foam or anything like that in the vase. So I decided to add just some Dollar Tree sand to the bottom just to help me be able to stand those up a little bit better and make sure they're not like kind of flopping all over the place because it is a pretty big vase, as you can see. So there it is, 3 of the onion grass and our little bee skep vase. I think it turned out really cute. So let me give you a little preview. I thought the idea of the onion grass would be really cute. The grass kind of reminds me of bees. And the vase looks like a bee skep. Really creative and fun. I loved making these bee DIYs. They were just a blast. Hey guys, I wanted to take a moment to let you know about my private Facebook group. I always have it linked below. We would love it if you joined us. I also have a Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, and my handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube, and I would love to see you on any and all of those platforms. Okay, back to the DIYs. I promised you guys we would be doing the beehive wreath today too. I have done this one before with burlap, the burlap with flowers on it and rope on the front. Now for this one, I kind of wanted it to not be the full beehive. So I'm just going to use my pliers and pull off the bottom to kind of make it look like a beehive with like a flatter bottom than just the longer beehive. Just personal preference, but I kind of like how it turned out. I just wanted something a little different than the one that I made before. Now, I found some more great fabric at Dollar Tree today. This is fuzzy too, but it is velour. They had this velour in all different colors. I got a whole bunch. Even for like Christmas, I got like reds and greens and blues. I loved it. And then I also picked up one of the yellow aprons just because I needed some yellow fabric for the back of this. What I want to do is kind of make like a little pillow that I can stuff that'll make like that velour fabric kind of come up in between each layer of the beehive and make it look more 3D. So I just lay my beehive on top of the apron and I just cut this down to size. Now, I thought fabric would be the best for the back of the pillow. I did find that the stuffing kind of went out that direction as well. So if I had this to do again, I might replace this fabric here with cardboard because it would be something that you could still cut, but it wouldn't be quite as giving as the fabric with the stuffing that I kind of wanted to go the other direction. But I was able to make it work. So I cut that out. That's going to be the back of the pillow. That looks good. And then I'm going to cut out the velour. The velour is going to be the front of the pillow and what's coming through that wreath form. And look how pretty this fabric is. I'm so glad they're carrying all these new fabric products at the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to use the apron that I cut down for reference to cut this out. I want to kind of leave a little bit of room in between because I want to be able to cut all of my Sharpie off here. I don't want any of that to be visible on the final product. So I drew it next to it, but definitely not right on it. So I can then just cut all of that off and have the front part for it. So that's what we're cutting down now. We're just going to cut down the velour to size. And it's a great color. I thought this was a really great color for a beehive. If you like, we're doing like a kid's room or something like that with like Winnie the Pooh, this would be super cute for that. Kind of reminded me of that. My son had a Winnie the Pooh themed playroom when he was little, and I had a lot of fun decorating that with Winnie the Pooh. Definitely a classic. And so just cutting all of that velour down to size. So now we have the two pieces, we can kind of build the pillow. The reason I wanted to do the pillow again is to make it look more 3D from the front so that I can actually stuff it. I want the material to come up in between those different pieces like a honeycomb shape. So I'm just going to start like a no-sew method, hot gluing it. I do actually have to end up doing some sewing on this project though. You guys know how much I hate sewing. But I couldn't think of any other way to make it work. But I'm going to glue most of it closed. I'm only going to leave open like half of the bottom for stuffing. So I'm going to leave up the bottom part right there. And Dollar Tree carries polyfill now, so that's a fun find. I'm just going to take some polyfill and I'm going to stuff it. Nothing crazy, just kind of like medium thickness. I probably could have stuffed it more, but I kind of wanted it to be flat, so I'm just kind of putting one piece in at a time, trying to make sure that no area really gets stuffed more than the other. And that looks pretty good. Now, I was concerned about how I was going to attach the wire wreath form to the velour once I got it closed up like that. I just glued it shut, and I didn't really think that I was going to be able to hot glue it in place. As you can see, once I stuffed it, kind of made it a little smaller than the wreath form, so I kind of needed to do something a little bit heavier duty. So, got to break out one of those giant needles from the crafter square at Dollar Tree, and we're actually going to have to sew because I couldn't really think of any other ways to attach it. So if you're going to stuff yours too, you might want to make it a little oversized, and that way you could hot glue the wreath form down onto it better. But I'm going to go ahead and attempt to sew. I'm going to do a really loose stitch all the way around, and just something to kind of keep it all together. And it actually worked, even though I didn't want to sew. So this took me a little bit of time, so I'm going to put this on super, super fast speed. But basically, as you can see, I'm doing a very loose stitch all the way around. I mean, sometimes like maybe even an inch between stitches, with like the excess string just being on the back of it, so I don't really have to worry about any of that being visible. And I am just sewing the pillow to the wreath form. This worked out pretty well. That way it stays tight to the edges. Then I can kind of go in, and I'm going to cover the wires on the front, so I'll be able to cover up like any stitching or anything like that. So again, just going all the way around. I do want it to be puffy though, like in the middle. And so once I get the edges sewed on, I also sew the middle bars too, to kind of make it, give it that puffy appearance. It's going to kind of pull the wreath form down in between each one of the segments. So it wasn't too thick of a pillow, so it was pretty easy to do that. And again, I'm just doing a very loose stitch, like every inch, and just leaving the excess string there on the back. And I'm going to do that all the way up. I don't really care too much what the back of it looks like because you're not going to be able to see it. But I was glad that I did like the pillow fluffy shape on it, because usually these are super flat, and I think that they should look bumpy like that. That was my goal. Now for the wire we're going to cover up with Dollar Tree rope. I'm actually going to use two different kinds. I'm going to use this larger brown rope from the Dollar Tree to go all the way around the edges of the beehive. That way it can kind of cover up that large seam that I have. I thought the skinnier rope was not going to be large enough. So I'm going to start right here on the bottom of our beehive. And I'm just going to hot glue this one section at a time and glue that all the way around. Then when I'm going to go in and do the middle sections too, but that one I'm going to do with the Dollar Tree thinner brown rope because I don't want to take away too much from that velour beehive. It turned out so cute. So my goal here is to cover the wire and also cover the stitching. So I'm kind of going just to the edge because I really have to cover a lot of stitching here. And that white thread, I don't want you to be able to see that. And that is the outer edges. And again, we're going to do the inner part of it too. I want to decorate it as well, kind of make it look like a beehive. Again, I'm using this one for a wall hanging, not necessarily like an outdoor wreath. I don't know how well this beautiful velour would do outside unless you had kind of a well-protected porch. So on these, I kind of have to do individual pieces. So each row I'm going to have to cut down to size. But I'm glad that I did the thinner rope on this because I don't really need much more. All I have to do is cover up the wire, and the stitching isn't super obvious on this one because I just stitched the wire down through the pillow. And we're going to do the same thing here with the other 3 pieces until it is framed out. Now I wanted to have like a hole for the front of it, a hole for the beehive for the bees to go in and out. And I was trying to decide if I should add like black fabric, but I actually ended up doing it with that same rope that we just used. I'm just going to start here and form a circle with it, hot gluing that to the velour in this little second section. And then I can just spiral that along. I do have to kind of hot glue it all down to make sure it stays in place until I get to the center, cutting it down to size and gluing that point down. Now I did notice that it kind of wanted to stick up, especially since that area was stuffed. So I did take that same needle and thread, kind of tack that down as well, sewing that in so it kind of goes, back kind of like a button sewed in to the pillow. And then I was trying to think of what I could use to make a bee for a beehive this big. I mean, it is pretty large, and I'm actually going to use a toy from the Dollar Tree. So while I have the rope out, I am going to go ahead and make a simple hanger for a beehive. I'm just going to cut a piece of the rope down to make a simple loop like that I can put on the top. I do want this to hang like straight up and down, especially since I made like the bottom of it flat by removing part of the wreath form. And I just attached that to that yellow fabric on the back that used to be an apron. And that should be a plenty good hanger. Now, this is the toy that I was talking about from Dollar Tree. There's their toy bees. And I thought this would be a really good scale for this since it's such a large beehive. But I want to give it a little makeover. I'm not too crazy with the way they paint these. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my heat gun to try to remove these wings. They're really kind of in there because I don't want to get any paint on those. So I want to go ahead and get those out of the way. I have painted these like really realistic before. This is going to be kind of an easier version. I like the yellow and black bee tail here with the stripes. So I don't want to change anything there. So I just tape that off with some painter's tape. I'm not too worried about the underside of this one because you're not going to be able to see it. So I'm only going to paint the top. But I definitely wanted to protect that section. And then I kind of wanted to paint everything black, like black legs, black antenna. I know bees have black heads. So we're going to use just black spray paint. You could also use like black acrylic. The great thing about these is they have like a texture on them. And so you can kind of really get a realistic look if you wanted that. I just kind of wanted a quick, easy one. So I just sprayed it down with some of that black spray paint. And that does say it works on plastic, so it should work well on this little plastic toy. It didn't want to dry too quickly though. I don't know if it was the spray paint or maybe I used a lot of it. But I'm going to go ahead and remove the painter's tape from the tail. And I like the way it looks better now with all of that painted black. So just kind of cleaning up any kind of bleeding that I had there from the painter's tape. And I'm going to finish drying this bee so we can attach it to the wreath form. Can't forget to reattach the wings. Had to make sure which way they went when I took them off so I could put them back on the same way. I'm not going to glue them in place. There's kind of enough tension keeping those in. I think that that's going to make it work. And then we can attach that to our little fuzzy beehive with the velour. That's what I was trying to think of, the velour. And I'm going to kind of have it to the side of the opening, kind of like that. I think that looks good. And I'm just going to attach it to the velour with some hot glue, kind of pushing that down in there. Just like that. And I think that's a really fun detail. Anytime I can add like a bee to a beehive, I'm going to love that. And then I like it. I thought it needed just a little bit something more, something that would go with like the bee theme. So I decided to add a flower. This is the Cosmos from the Dollar Tree. It is a big white flower with a yellow center. I thought this would look really cute with the colors that we have going on, and a bee definitely goes, or a flower definitely goes with the bee theme. So I just kind of hot glued that on that second section up against the rope. Nothing crazy, but I think that's the perfect final step to this little pillow beehive. I really love the velour, almost as much as I love that fuzzy fabric that we used for the bee wreath. Super fun textures, and the little toy bee looks pretty good on there as well. And as you can see, the texture on the bee, they're really kind of cool. But, you know, like any Dollar Tree toy, they're going to look a little bit better when you paint them. Okay, the next project, I found these cute little bee signs at the Dollar Tree. The only problem are that they are small, right? So I thought I could take 3 of them, put them together, try to make it a little bit more substantial. So just using a pair of pliers, we're just going to remove the rope from the back. So we have be nice, be kind, and let it be. Now, I don't want to cover up that cool like wood burning on them. I want to be able to use that to paint it. So I made just a really watered down yellow acrylic, and we're just going to kind of whitewash these with that thinned out paint. I'm going over everything, and as you can see, you can still see that wood burn through there. I just kind of wiping off the excess there with a paper towel. And I was trying to decide if I was just going to leave like the wood burn kind of look on there. And you totally could do that, or if I wanted to paint it. I thought it ended up being a little plain, and so I did end up painting everything that I could see stamped on there black to kind of give me that yellow and black color scheme. So doing that same whitewash on all of these. And I want good coverage, but I think that's pretty going to be enough for right now. I can always add more later. Now, I started with a black paint pen, and it worked. The only problem was, I don't know why my paint pen, maybe because I was using a fine tip, it was kind of like splattering and getting little specks of black paint all over it. So I'm just going to kind of remove that. I used a wet wipe and then some cleaner to try to remove that paint on there. And I'm going to try a different method to make those black just because I didn't want the spatter on there. So I tried to clean that up, give it another couple coats of that yellow whitewash to kind of cover up the black paint. And I switched it up to a black Sharpie. Gave me a lot more control and none of that splattering. So I'm just going to sketch out the little bee You can see the shape perfectly through and the little wings. And I'm also going to like sketch out like the words for like let it be. And I'm glad that I decided to make these black. I think they're a lot easier to read than if I would have just left the wood burnings. And yellow and black is always great for bee decor. So we're going to do the same thing here on our Be Kind sign. And I found that one of my Sharpies, that first one I used, was a little on the older side. So I switched it up to a newer Sharpie. This one was a little bit cleaner. And I'm able to do that really fun font. So this is just a fun way. If you find some of these little bee signs, I got them at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. How you can kind of take them and put them together, make a bigger piece. Even with 3 of them together, it's still not big. They're just really small. As you can tell, I have really small hands, and it's about the same size as my hand. So I'm going to touch this one up because that one kind of had the older Sharpie. And 2 of these also have like a honeycomb pattern on there. And I kind of like that. So I'm going to go in and sketch that out with the black Sharpie as well. But the Sharpie was definitely the way to go with this one. Really easy to draw everything out. And I think it all turned out looking really good, actually. So this one had honeycomb pattern on the top of it. So we're just going to draw those all in there too. And then I want to kind of break up that perfect black by whitewashing it some more because I want it to look old and weathered and distressed. So I just go over all of the black Sharpie with another coat of that yellow whitewash. And that really gave it a cool vibe. There is a lot of water in that paint, so I got to try to make sure I get this dry. And this is what it looks like right now. Just trying to make sure I have like an even level of yellow on there, and then we can put these together. I was trying to decide if I wanted my honeycombs to meet up like that or to be opposite like that, and I decided opposite. So I'm going to put the 3 together, all kind of interlocking like that, and we can make a fun little wall hanging. I'm just going to use hot glue to attach them to each other. They're pretty square as fitting together, so I was happy with that. And I'm going to glue the 3rd one on right there. It's looking pretty good. I like the yellow and the black. I am going to distress it a little bit more with another coat of the yellow whitewash, just because I really kind of like that vibe, and dry that over the top of it. I did end up wanting to make a hanger for the back. I was trying to decide like if I should use one of these little hooks from the Dollar Tree. I ended up using twine. I thought it would be the easiest way to hang it. I could attach it to 2 signs because it has such an abnormal top. And then that way I can kind of adjust it left to right to make it hang level. That was what I was worried about. So I just took a piece of twine and tied a knot in each end. And I'm just going to hot glue that on the back of the 2 signs, kind of at a level point. Now, I did want a little bit more contrast. I had used that yellow whitewash for the frame as well, but I thought it was just a little bit too much yellow. So I decided to paint the frames black. I'm just going to do that with a black paint pen. Simple enough. I just go over the front of them. Just trying to make sure that I don't get any on the images themselves. And that provided a nice, black frame for these to kind of break them up a little bit. I do like the fact that I used the yellow whitewash and kind of made it look more subtle on the designs. But I do like the addition of the bold black for the frames. Definitely just provides another color, a little bit more contrast on this one. So I just painted the front edge of all of them. But then I decided that I probably should paint the sides too, because it's going to be hanging on the wall. You'll be able to see the sides too. And one thing I love about bee decor, I started in the spring, but it's definitely something you can leave up all summer. I know some people do it for the summer. So a very versatile item to decorate with, and always lots of fun. But these frames are really cute. I just think on their own, It's just going to be a really small sign if you're only going to do one of them. So I like the idea of doing 3 of them and putting them together like this. I think it really helped make it more substantial. So that's how it turned out. Our little be nice, be kind, and let it be sign. Here's a little close up look how it turned out. The wood burning really provided a good background for me to be able to add those images. I kind of wish the wood burning on it was even darker, so maybe you wouldn't have to paint that part. But it definitely turned out really fun. Hey guys, I have a new website. It's craftybeach.net. You're going to get a blog post for each one of my YouTube videos. The great thing is you're going to get lots of extras too. So if you go to my website, craftybeach.net, you can find what you're looking for. If you click on it, what's going to happen is you're going to get a picture of each one of the DIYs that you can pin on Pinterest. So you can remember to come back and make some of my DIYs. If you go down to the bottom, you can find my YouTube video that goes with those projects. I'm going to have them organized by season. Right now, I just kind of have Easter and spring, but I also have my Amazon shop on there and my Etsy store for all of my cute little crafting meme printables and stuff like that. So be sure to visit me over at craftybeach.net. I'm really excited about this new website for you guys. Okay, back to the DIYs. I want to do my tier tray with a bee theme, but I wanted a really simple, easy bee theme. And Dollar Tree had lots of cute items, and Dollar Spot at Target too, where I didn't have to make too many things for it, and it turned out really cute. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is make a little mini pennant banner for the front of my tier tray. And I'm just going to do that with some of this black and yellow striped ribbon from the Dollar Tree. That'll look like bee stripes. So I'm just cutting little triangles down. I'm going to leave the seam on the top of them just to kind of give them a little bit of structure for the top, but only for the top. The rest of it's just going to be ribbon. I cut the second wire off on the bottom. And I want to do like 5 of them all about the same. I just cut down a piece of twine about the same size as my top tier, and I'm simply going to attach them with hot glue. Just a very simple little mini pennant banner. It doesn't take too much. I'm just going to kind of guess my spacing. I'm doing them fairly close together and just hot gluing the little pennants down one at a time. I had kind of started in the center there, so I would know where the center needed to be. And I want to do a total of 5. I didn't really like how that piece looked, so I'm going to recut my 5th piece and attach this here. And I'm just going to attach this to my top tier with a little dot of hot glue on each side, just to provide a little bit of fun bee feel to that. Now for greenery, I always like to use greenery for filler on my tier trays. This is some greenery from Dollar Tree. It's really beautiful, isn't it? I cut it down to size, a longer piece for the bottom, and I'm going to use the shorter piece up here at the top. Just going to provide a little bit of green color, but the leaves are nice and small. Now for the first item, I found this one at Target Dollar Spot. Isn't this so cute? This was $3, and it's a beautiful little beehive. It looks like wood, and it's got a little bee on the front, the opening, everything like that. So it is ready to go. I'm going to display that on the top of my tier tray. And this is another item from my stash. This is my Rae Dunn honey pot that I got actually on clearance at my Publix grocery store, which was kind of wild. But you know what I did right here? I was showing you this on camera, and I tripped and I broke the lid on it on my way to the tier tray. I was so sad. But you know what? The honey pot is still cute even without the lid. So you know what? We're going to use it anyway. That's one of my favorite bee pieces, that little honey pot. This is another Target Dollar Spot find, this little bee. It was $3 as well. I got it this year at Target, and it's got like a braided rope with like a brown braided rope stripe. It's all covered in that like material. It is so cute and so well made. Like the bottom of the wings are like kind of a burlap I love it. It's kind of big too. So we're going to display that on the top. I'm going to have it kind of climbing out of the tier tray so you can definitely see it because it's definitely one of the stars of the show. I really like it. And the top tier on this one is not too big, so I think that's enough of the larger pieces, but I did want to use some flowers for a little bit more filler. These are from Dollar Tree too. These are the asters. I picked these because they were white with like the yellow center. I couldn't really find exactly what I was looking for at Dollar Tree, but I think these will work. I'm just going to give them a quick iron with my heat gun. They really wanted to fold up on themselves and cover up like the yellow centers, and I really wanted the yellow centers to be exposed. And so I just kind of iron them out with my heat gun one at a time until they look their best, and I can use those as filler. The top is kind of small though, so I'm only going to need a couple of them to fill on the top. But I just put one in front of the honey pot and then one between the beehive and the honey pot there in the back. And that is filled in nicely. It looks really fun for spring. And we can move on to the bottom. So this is the rest of that greenery that I got at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to kind of string that around the bottom of it. And we can start decorating the bottom. Now this is from Dollar Tree, the little Be Humble sign. It's so cute. It's like a slatted wood sign. It is so perfect. It stands up on its own and it is a perfect size for a tier tray. So I told you this tier tray was going to be really easy, right? I was able to find most of these pieces already pre-made. So definitely saves me some time. Now, the next project we are going to kind of put together, these are those new bee tins that they have at Dollar Tree this year. They're kind of big. And I wanted to kind of fill it with a house plant, and I didn't really have anything that would fit in there. And so I'm going to kind of try to make a faux house plant with some of this greenery from the Dollar Tree. The first thing I'm going to do is just kind of take the whole thing off the vine. That's just going to leave me with the leaves. And I wanted to see if I could kind of make my own little house plant. So I'm going to use one of the little green foam pieces, but as you can see, it's a big bucket. So it doesn't fit in there too good. I'm just going to use that excess twine to kind of boost that up a little bit so we can like make the house plant by using the vine and actually putting it into the foam. That's my plan. So I'm going to leave the two leaves attached, but I cut off a little bit of a stem. So I have something that I can put down into the foam like that. And it's a little bit easier to work with when it's not quite in the bucket. And it's also easier to work with if you poke a hole in that foam first before you add the greenery. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just using a little tiny screwdriver, poke a hole in the foam, and put the greenery down in there. And this was a quick little hack to try to give me a little faux house plant that's going to provide a little bit more greenery to the tier tray as well, and a fun thing to put in that little bee bucket. They still have the smaller bee buckets, the ones with the stripes. Those are super cute too, and you could do kind of the same project with that one. But I wanted to try one of these new ones. It's definitely a larger bucket, so it's going to take up a little bit more room there. And then I'm going to use just a little brown floral moss, any area where I can kind of see the green foam, to kind of disguise that. And it totally worked. Here's our little faux house plant and our bee bucket. Kind of a DIY. Now, the next item is from the fairy garden section at Dollar Tree. They have these cute little bee gnomes. They have different ones. This one's holding like a bee, skep, and like a bee. Mine was a little skinned up. Sometimes, you know, the Dollar Tree products can be, especially like these little fairy garden things. So I'm just going to touch up the skin on his nose and his hands to kind of make him look a little bit better. But otherwise, he's super cute. I'm going to display him here in front. He's not that tall, so I think he'll work well there. And then the next item is a candle. It's a sunflower scented candle. It smells really good. And it's got like a little glass bee on the side of it. I got this at Dollar Tree as well. I was trying to decide if I should just leave it clear glass with the bee on there, but I decided I wanted you to be able to see the bee a little bit better, so I'm going to try to paint it on. So I'm using a black paint pen to kind of draw that on. I did notice that this black paint pen was a little thick for the little tiny dainty legs and stuff like that. So I'm going to switch it up to like a finer tip tier one for the legs, because they're a little bit skinnier here, and just kind of drawing everything that is kind of lifted out of the glass, and you can really see it a lot better now. And then I gave it a couple bee stripes with my yellow paint pen to make it look like a bee, and I think I'll store it with the lid on it to keep that fragrance safe until I burn it, because it smelled really good. I definitely want to burn this candle, but it's nice and small, so I fit it right there in front. The next item is also from the Dollar Tree. It's a sign, but it's a hanging sign, but I'm going to use it kind of as a leaner sign to go up against the center section. I do want to kind of paint it and give it a little update, since it's going to be kind of the very front of my bottom of my tier tray. And sometimes the paint doesn't go all the way to the sides on these projects, and sometimes you want to customize it too. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I just touched up the wings, which I don't really like the fact that the wings are yellow, but I'll show you what I do for that. And I'm going to touch up the black and all the different areas. Super cute. And then I wanted the flowers to kind of match the flowers that I used on the tier tray. So instead of purple, I painted mine white, and then we can go back and add like yellow centers to them to kind of match the flowers that we used. I'm also going to use like a fine tip black paint pen to do like the veining there on the wings of it. And I also kind of whitewash it a little bit with a little bit of white on top of it too, to kind of make that a little bit different color than the bright yellow that they were painted before. Not really sure why they were painted that color, but with a little makeover, I think it looks really nice. And I'm going to display this right here in front. You can also use one of the bee stepping stones. Those are super cute as well, and they would work well in a tier tray. And then we're just going to finish it off with those white and yellow flowers from the Dollar Tree. I told you this tier tray was going to be really easy. It was really quick to put together. Lots of fun finds from Dollar Tree and Dollar Spot for this year. And I always love a bee tier tray. I think this is the third one that I've done. So yeah, check back. I do have some more detailed ones for sure. But this one was definitely the easiest one I think I've ever put together. And it turned out really cute. I think it looks really pretty for spring with all of the flowers, all the little bee touches. And I really love that bee there from the Target Dollar Spot. I think it's super cute. Okay, you have made it to the end of all of the DIYs today. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to comment your favorite DIY in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. And here is the final reveal of all of the projects that we made today. Enjoy.
I'm driving, you're smiling, just really doing nothing. That's the thing I like about you. On the highway, it's our way, Route 66, and we keep on driving. We just do what we wanna do. Yeah, no, nothing's complicated with you. Hey, playing songs on the radio, sing along to the words that we don't know. House brings out the wild ones. Let's just run away. Yeah, I could drive the whole along. Being with you is like being on the rodeo. House brings out the wild ones. I got a little crush
Thank you so much for joining me today and making it all the way to the end of the video. That always really helps. And I want to give a huge thank you to all of my Crafty Beach Bum members for supporting my channel here on YouTube. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Carrie R., Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Julie Miller, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., and Lindsay. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you'd like to join, it's $4.99 a month. You can cancel anytime, and you're going to get early ad-free access to my videos. All you have to do is hit the join button under today's video, and you are in. Okay, guys, if you'd like more Dollar Tree DIYs, YouTube might think that you might enjoy this video right here. Happy crafting.